Well, right now, thanks to that government shutdown, we are literally flying blind on the economy. There's no reports, there's no updates, there's no clarity. But that doesn't mean that your financial plan has to stall out too, because you're going to have a flight plan. Because I'm going to give you the real story behind the headlines, the inflation scare, and what it means for your investments. All right, let's get into it. Hey, it's Chris Hobart, the wealthologist. And today we're talking about what happens when the US economy hits airplane mode. Here's the deal, we're in the middle of a government shutdown. I know, you know this. Now, that might sound kind of like political theater. It actually has some real consequences, like putting the brakes on the economic reports that we use to understand how things are going. So let's imagine that you're flying a plane, but there's no dashboard, there's no GPS, and your co pilot, they just walked off the job. That's where economists and investors are right now. They're flying blind. So I want to hit some highlights for you. First, inflation in September came in hot, but I don't want you to panic. See, oil prices, they've dropped since, which should cool things down in October. And the only reason we've even gotten that inflation report, well, it's because Social Security needs it to calculate cost of living increases. Uh, That's how serious this is. Now, second thing, housing, it's hanging in there. You see, existing home sales, they ticked up slightly. Definitely not a surge, but not a collapse either. And that's good news if you're watching the housing market like a hawk. Now, check this out. Auto sales in September, they're strong as well. But part of that might be people rushing to grab those sweet tax credits on electric vehicles before they expire. Now, here's where the plot begins to thicken a bit. Despite some bright spots, we're seeing signs of a slowdown. For example, the ADP jobs report, it showed a drop in private sector hiring. Manufacturing sector, it's contracting. The services, barely holding on. So while GDP was strong in Q3, around 3.5% growth, the yearly read for Q4 is a lot softer. It's right around 1.5%. I got to tell you, that is massive deceleration. And while the federal deficit, it did drop by 41 billion from last year, we still got to look at it. It's monstrous. It's still 1.775 trillion. So this shutdown, it might seem like it's the smoke before a fire over government spending reform. But what does it mean for you? Well, here's my playbook. First and foremost, and we've talked about this all the time, but you got to stay diversified because when we get volatile or no data, that can equate to volatile markets. Also, I want you to check your emergency fund. If a economic slowdown hits harder, you're going to want that cushion. Also, keep your eyes open for opportunities because again, volatility that can lead to discounts. So in this case, I want you to think long term, not to panic. And I also want you to ignore the noise because here's the thing. The media, they love to scare you, but not every headline deserves your attention. But your plan, it always needs that attention. Now, I want to hear from you. If the government stays shut down for another month, what is your biggest financial concern? Do you care? Do you not care? Drop it in the comments because we read everyone, would love to see what you're thinking. Now, hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully it hit. Uh, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe, share it with someone that needs a little bit of clarity and not the chaos that we tend to be seeing these days. All right, folks. See you next week.